Hi guys, Dave from firearms-uk here, and this video is on a subject I've wanted to discuss for a long time, but I've not really been quite sure how to tackle it. However, I feel that the time is right to broach it because, if we don't do it now, when will we? Basically, I want to call out the behaviour and attitudes and the tactics used by gun control organisations. Now, I'll primarily be focusing on UK-based gun control organisations, but generally these tactics are used by such organisations worldwide, and it's basically to point out some that they rely on creating hysteria, they rely on exploiting prejudice and ignorance. Their agenda, they hide behind agendas of improved public safety and protecting people and all that, but really the policies that they drive would do nothing or do the opposite. They don't focus on the real root causes of crime and violence, and there's a certain sort of neurotic hysteria about the way they conduct themselves sometimes. Certainly, as I say, with the language they use, it's about fear mongering, and they don't tend to rely on facts. They tend to cherry pick certain things and exploit statistics in certain ways to appear to be factual, but they never delve into the real deeper causes of things or the really core discussions of anything involving crime and violence and things like that. Their agenda is just simply to ban guns because they don't like them or for whatever reasons. And if you look at pro-gun organisations like ourselves, we tend to rely on statistics and studies. We try to be factual. We really try and promote shooting. We try and sell the economic benefits of shooting, the personal benefits, the fact in certain cases firearms ownership can improve public safety, or that in pretty much every case it's of no detriment to public safety at the very least. We're very factual. We might sometimes use emotional arguments, but we tend to always temper it with facts. And I don't believe that I believe we're honest, that's all I can say. But people always say that we're the bad guys, we're villains, we're biased. Of course we're going to defend guns, we're gun nuts, we'll say whatever we want. But no one questions the bias of anti-gun organisations. No one questions their prejudice, their hatred for people they don't know just because of whatever activities they carry out. And I'm just going to go through a couple of articles I've found that will hopefully give you an understanding of just the crazy language these organisations use, and maybe just question things more. And this is not just for shooters, although I'll go into more detail why shooters should be very wary of these organisations at the end of the video. But the general public, you should be outraged at the way you're being exploited, the way that these people are playing on your fears or your misunderstandings to promote their agenda. And they're telling you one thing, and they're lying to you. They're not out for public safety, as hopefully I can somewhat demonstrate by going into their arguments. But the first article I'm going to read from is from the Daily Express, I believe, and it's dated May the 23rd, 2015, and it's on the issue of young children or young people being able to obtain shotgun certificates. This issue seems to come up from time to time. If you look at it, every few years it comes up, and this organisation, gets all up in arms about it. And but it's to just show you that, again, their arguments rely on causing fear, painting the wrong picture, false equivalencies and things like that. They're just, they're not honest in what they say. So basically, this article is about young people having been able to get a shotgun certificate. Now, a spokesman for the Gun Control Network said no one under 18 should be allowed access to a gun. And this is an age that they seem to be featuring a lot more on any articles they're commenting on, or I think on their website as well. And again, they've just picked this number at random, it seems. It's obviously, again, to make people think, we must protect the children. Children are at risk here. That's, to me, the image they're trying to portray. But in actual fact, I think what they're trying to do is simply, if you can't have anyone able to shoot up until the age of 18, it's going to really cripple the shooting community because young people won't be able to take part in shooting sports. Clubs will shut down. A lot of, family traditions will close. People won't get introduced to traditional things like hunting or anything, just things like that. It's a way for them within a couple of generations to severely damage and possibly destroy what is a wonderful sport and discipline in the UK. So that's why I think they've picked this age, and they go on later to justify it with all sorts of, as again, stupid examples and false equivalencies and all sorts of things like that. And again, I'm going to question that if this is the best they can come up with, are they really suitable to be given the voice and the platform they're given? So the spokesman added, who would consider that a 5-year-old is mature enough to handle what is a weapon of mass destruction? That's absolute nonsense. To call a shotgun a weapon of mass destruction is it's insane, it's ludicrous. It's not a weapon of mass destruction. It's not like your shotgun certificate covers you to go down to your local firearms dealer and procure a couple of gallons of mustard gas or maybe a surplus Trident missile or anything like that. Genuine weapons of mass destruction. It's a shotgun, okay? Now, I know to some people it might be quite scary and intimidating, but to other people it's just a normal tool or a piece of sporting equipment. And, a few years ago within living memory, people wouldn't have batted an eyelid at a shotgun, but they're trying to, again, whip up fear, and they're not, again, the tactics are just ludicrous. But the spokesman also goes on to state, shotgun licences and any other gun licence should be issued to adults aged 18 or over. Right, that's in their opinion. They don't offer any evidence to suggest why this should be the case. But they go on to make all sorts of stupid comparisons as to support this, and they state, when the law says children aren't mature enough to drive, to drink alcohol in a pub, to watch violent movies or play violent video games depicting gun violence, why does the law allow them to use a gun? Well, it's simple really, because they're not committing acts of gun violence with these shotguns or firearms. They're engaged in perfectly healthy, normal activities. Drink alcohol in a pub, what's that got to do with anything? Totally different argument completely. It's just totally unrelated. And as for children mature enough to drive, well, yeah, on a road, fair enough, they can't drive. On private land, they can drive. The same kind of places where they're using shotguns or firearms on private land, where they're supervised. Young people can take up go-karting. So a lot of Formula 1 champions, I believe, start off go-karting and then progress obviously the actual Formula 1. A lot of British Olympic shooting champions start shooting at a very young age and then progress to win great things and bring honour and glory to their country. So they're making all these stupid, facile arguments that they're just not in any way equivalent or related to what they're saying, but they're using it so people will maybe quickly, make a knee-jerk reaction, think, oh yeah, that's a good point, when in fact they're ridiculous points. They also go on to state, at 5, they do not have the ability to empathise, they're impulsive and proactive. So is this person qualified to make this kind of statement? To me, they're basically calling every young child a psychopath or a sociopath. Is this true? I don't think so. I don't think when I was a young person I was a sociopath. I think I had a lot of empathy, as probably do a lot of young children. If you're a parent, I'd probably be quite insulted at what they're saying about your children. But they also say they're impulsive and proactive. Well, what's wrong with being proactive? Is that a bad thing? And being impulsive, well, this is again why children are supervised. And in the article, it does go on to state that children, no one under 18 can own or buy a shotgun, nor use one without supervision. And this is a key thing they don't mention, supervision. Young children will be supervised, and if you look at the record of British shooting, we've got a tremendous safety record. It's very much self-regulatory, but we don't need excessive government or interference because we're so good. We take our responsibilities very seriously. And if you look at the rates of revocations of shotgun certificates amongst young children, I think there's only 2 I could find, and it was for cases of I think it was vandalism or something like that. So, petty incidents, and it's probably been removed more as a punishment than anything else, but it's very, very rare. And, it's not young people, it's not like you're saying, loading up a shotgun saying, on you go son, batter in, and leaving them to it. They're supervised. It teaches them responsibility and discipline and, just generally all round good traits to have. So they go on to put the tinfoil hat on later in the article and say maybe police firearms officers who grant licences to children are themselves gun owners and predisposed to believe the myth that young children who shoot will become more mature. Well, do they know any young children that shoot? Probably not. certainly I'm sure many shooters have met young children that shoot, and you know what, they do tend to be quite mature and responsible, and they're always well supervised. And I don't think the police firearms officers are predisposed to grant certificates to anyone. I think they're just following the law, which is perhaps quite reasonable in this case. So they're just doing their job. And of course now we've got another play on words where they try and create hysteria and fear and mistrust and all sorts of horrible things against gun owners, people that like guns. A gun is designed for one purpose, to kill, and the danger it poses in the mindset of a child is that it's fun and normal to kill things. It is a teaching of brutalisation and cruelty. Well, first of all, a firearm is not designed to kill. The most basic definition of a firearm is to fire a projectile through a tube. Okay, that's the simplest way to put it, probably. They have many purposes. So, on one hand, they're saying it doesn't teach children to be more responsible, although you are teaching them to be responsible, you tell them it's a responsibility, but they're saying, without proof, it teaches children it's okay to fun and it's normal to kill things and things like that. Well, you're not teaching children to kill things, you're not teaching target shooters to kill things, nor are you teaching clay pigeon shooters to kill things. Now, certainly some young children hunt, but what's wrong with that? What's wrong with teaching young people about the food chain and obtaining an ethical source of food, and making them perhaps realise that their food doesn't just come from a supermarket? There's a whole ecosystem out there, and we humans are very much involved in maintaining the balance of that. You're not teaching them about brutalisation or cruelty. If you hunt, you are taught the utmost respect for quarry. And it might be hard for people that have never hunted to understand. You don't go out just for the kill or for some perverse bloodlust. There's much more to it. That's an experience. It perhaps goes back to our natural, our genes, what's in our DNA. But that's the crux of it. And these people, they're trying to paint this image of young children being, perhaps the way you would see child soldiers in Africa being trained to kill, horrible, horrible images, which in the UK is just not the case. But again, they're not out to paint an accurate picture, they're out to cause hysteria and prejudice against this section of society because they don't like what we do. Now, the article that really made me want to finally do this video was because recently Derbyshire Constabulary posted a picture on Twitter, I believe, and it was the police cadets who were visiting a police, I think it was a police firing range or something like that, and they posed for a picture, with police firearms. So let's put this in perspective. It was police cadets at a police firearms facility posing with police issued firearms under police supervision. Now, I don't think they got to shoot the firearms. I don't think police cadets do that, unlike other cadet organisations. And so, there's young kids having probably a good and interesting day out, perhaps learning a bit about a potential role that they could perhaps one day end up doing if they join the police and go on to become an authorised firearms officer. What's wrong with that? And of course, this got this gun control network, they got their knickers in a twist over it, and pretty much, I would say, bullied Derbyshire Constabulary into taking the picture down. Now, my opinion is Derbyshire Constabulary have done nothing wrong by taking their cadets out and putting this picture up, but they did do something wrong by caving into these bullies who, because they don't like something, feel that no one else should be doing it, and it frankly, it saddened me to see them give in like that. But again, a spokesman from this organisation stated that this photo is either mad or bad. The police have no business encouraging young people to develop an interest in guns. Well, they're not really developing an interest in firearms. They're not teaching them for sporting purposes. It's just something to do with the police force, part of the organisation they're involved with. And I certainly do not think it's bad to teach maybe children or anyone basic firearm safety and how to handle it. Even if you don't want to use one, you never take up the sport, just in the off chance you somehow came across one or found yourself in the very unlikely chance of finding one, sure, it's better to know how to treat it safely than not. So, but again, this is all their opinion. The police have no business in teaching young children about firearms because we say so. That's pretty much it. They go on to lay their cards on the table and they state, we want fewer guns around, not more. as anyone with an ounce of common sense knows, there's a high correlation between the number of guns in a country and the level of gun violence. Right, I'm telling you right now, that's either a lie or they're incredibly misinformed. And again, in which case, whatever one it is, they are in no position to be given the authority or the credibility they're given. And you notice they don't back it up with actual facts. They say anyone with an ounce of common sense knows. So basically, if you don't agree with them, you're stupid. There's absolutely no correlation between firearms in a country and the level of gun violence. Certainly no correlation with legally owned firearms. You often find that in many cases, there's more legally owned firearms, there's less gun crime and violence. If you look at some counties in the United Kingdom, you'll have rural communities with a lot of firearms ownership, very low gun crime. You'll have inner city communities with very low gun ownership levels and very high gun crime, or comparatively high gun crime. It's nothing to do with legal gun owners, but again, these people aren't concerned with stopping the root causes of violence in society. They're concerned with banning guns because they don't like them. That's their obsession. They're more obsessed with guns than we are. And again, this translates worldwide. There's some states in America, for example, where they have high gun ownership and very low gun crime. But of course, these organisations will look at America as a whole, and they won't get down into the deeper root causes of crime and violence in society, which are socio-economic in nature. They don't care about that. They just want to ban guns and scare you into supporting them and going along with it. So the spokesman goes on to state children should be encouraged to take up healthier sports. Well, shooting is a very healthy sport in many ways. Mentally, it's healthy. It teaches responsibility, discipline. It gets you out socialising. If you're a little bit stressed, going and smashing a few clays or firing a few rounds down range can be incredibly relaxing. Just like some people might go to the gym and lift heavy weights to de-stress. It's no different from that. Some shooting activities involve quite a high degree of physical fitness. There's things like the biathlon. Adderbolt won at last year's Northern Shooting Show, where it was the target sprint, where you need to do 3 laps of 400 metres whilst target shooting in between the laps. It was very challenging. It was fun, but you have to be quite fit to do it. I found it quite hard. So it's there's lots of healthy shooting activities out there, and of course it's not just able-bodied people that shoot. Many disabled people can shoot, often on an even keel in certain disciplines. With able-bodied shooters, even blind people can shoot. Shooting is a lifeline, a social lifeline for many people. And organisations like this, they don't care about that. They would happily see these people isolated, lose their sports, lose their hobbies, lose their friends, just to get their agenda. An agenda that's not supported in any way with evidence. And as for children taking up healthier sports, again, it's this whole, please think of the children. Did they have any issue with children playing contact sports like football or rugby? Now, very good sports, you need to be very physically fit to do them, but there's a very real chance of injury. Probably more children are injured playing sports like this than they are, they're not injured at all in shooting sports because we're incredibly self-disciplined and well-regulated and we're very responsible. So if they really cared about children, why are they going after a sport that's got a great safety record when it comes to not just children's safety, but everyone's safety? Then go on to state again, while GCN understand the context, we have many concerns about young people and guns. Now, because of this organisation, and as I said, the perception that shooters are the bad guys, we've got this bias, we don't care about public safety. No, we care about public safety, but we want to see sensible regulation and rules, not just arbitrary knee-jerk reactions just to win votes and destroy our sports, especially when they seem to be counterproductive in many ways. But when this organisation, because no one calls out their prejudice and their bias, when they say they have concerns, it gets people worried into thinking there's an issue here when there's clearly not. But they say they have concerns about young people and guns, in particular access to air weapons and the boys' toys culture which exists around these guns, and the marketing of shooting activities is fun and exciting. Well, do you know what? Shooting is fun and shooting is exciting. These killjoys might not think so, but that's not my concern, right? They've got absolutely no right to dictate what other people find fun or exciting. So I'm not even going to give you examples because they've just got no right to do it. But because they don't like it, again, they think of all these reasons to make people scared of it. Now, a boys' toys culture, there's not a boys' toys culture around shooting or air guns or anything like that. I would say boys can do it, girls can shoot, men, women, people from all backgrounds, young and old, all races, religions, colours, creeds, whatever. Everyone can take part in shooting sports, and they do so safely and responsibly. So again, they're just trying to stir up trouble and fear, and it's just not on. So basically, I want to appeal to non-shooters that might see this video. Just don't just take my word for it. Look into it yourself. Try perhaps just check that the bias that they have and check some of the facts and figures they're throwing out at you, because they might be less than honest in what they're trying to portray. And to shooters, there's a real concern here, because you still see so many shooters who are totally they're just not involved with protecting their sports enough. They don't get involved with the politics. If you dare mention politics, like, oh, we don't want to talk about that, when they seem to fail to realise that it's the politicians that make the decisions that affect our livelihoods and our hobbies and our rights or privileges, whatever you want to call it. And the politicians get hounded by organisations like this because, empty vessels make the most noise in many cases. So they get hounded by organisations like this, and of course, if these organisations twist the public perception and politicians think they can get a win out of it or a vote out of it, they'll do it. And just to give you an example of some of this organisation's objectives to maybe perhaps waking you up and get you involved, they want to see a tightening of gun licensing into a single, more rigorous system that includes all firearms, shotguns and air guns with power in excess of 1 joule. The onus should be on the applicant to demonstrate their suitability to own a gun and a specific need for doing so. Any opportunities for the spontaneous purchase of any gun, including air weapons, should be eliminated. So to me, right away, they want to make everything Section 1, perhaps probably tougher than Section 1. Now, if you're a Section 2 holder, would you be happy with that? Of course not. So, but that's what they want to see, and eventually they'll take it further and ban more and restrict more. They also want to see a licence for every gun, renewed annually, as opposed to the current 5-year renewal, and requiring 2 referees for each application and its renewal. Now, to the public, or people that don't know any better, people think, yes, that's what we need, more rigorous, more regular checks, really stick it to those gun nuts. Well, that's not going to improve public safety. That's going to increase costs to the public, it's going to increase costs to the police, it'll increase costs to the shooter, it will damage the economy, because shooting's worth about £2 billion to the UK economy. But yeah, clogging the police up and grinding the system to a halt isn't going to improve public safety. It's going to cause chaos. And again, that's what they want. They want to make it difficult for people to get into shooting. They don't care about public safety. You can go to New Zealand, which has a great record when it comes to firearms crime, very low firearms crime and violence, a fantastic example. They've got 10-year firearms certificates, and they can have full auto firearms, semi-auto firearms and pistols, I believe. No problems whatsoever. So strict control isn't always for the better. They now want to see an increase in the licence fee to cover the real cost of policing, a more rigorous system, so there is no subsidy from the taxpayer. Right. So firstly, they want a more rigorous, draconian, over the top, unwieldy system, but they want us to pay for what they want. How is that fair? They talk about a subsidy. Well, I'm afraid there's no subsidy on firearms ownership in the UK. You don't pay for any of the activities we do, and plus, as members of the public, shooters are taxpayers. We already pay for this system that is imposed upon us. We also pay an additional fee when you apply for a certificate or a renewal, and yet they want us to pay more and more for something that's imposed upon us. Think about it, if that was applied to your situation or something you've done, your sport, your interest, would you be happy with that? Especially when the increased checks offer no real value or improved public safety, but they're simply there to make it difficult for good, hard-working people. I'm just going to give you one more example because I'm aware of time here, but this one's a belter. Another objective is lifting the secrecy about gun ownership, making it possible for certain professionals and members of the public to find out who has a licence and for what purpose. Now, I find that grossly offensive because I basically, that's the kind of thing you hear people wanting to know if there's a sex offender in the area, people want to do something like that. And to compare us to anything like that, I think is vile and repulsive. But how's that going to improve public safety? We're all aware of data leaks that have happened, taxpayers' details or things like that being lost from various government authorities and organisations. How could this possibly be a good idea? What would that achieve apart from put firearms owners' safety at risk? And then if they're targeted and there's any thefts, the public safety are put at risk. They're creating this hysteria about us and this kind of witch hunt for firearms owners. But honestly, question their motives, question their policies, question their agendas, because to me, they don't make sense and they're not going to do anything to improve public safety. It is, what I say, a witch hunt. And again, shooters need to be aware that, obviously right now they're talking about banning 50 calibre firearms and Mars type rifles. Now, previously we've seen legislation in the past occur after some really, let's be honest, horrific events, but events that could have been prevented if the authorities had done their job and enforced the laws that were in place at the time. That's another argument. But these horrible events, so that was a catalyst for these people to exploit and, see knee-jerk reactions against politicians, perhaps given into public demand, a very emotional public, but that's what happened. That was the reason behind it. But now we're seeing restrictions on certain firearms being proposed because of what-if scenarios. And that's incredibly frightening because you're now seeing these what-if scenarios. It's based on fear, it's based on ignorance. Where's that going to lead us? How many things could be banned just because of what bad people might do? That's not the way to conduct a free, open, liberal society. That's like a totalitarian police state. And it's not the founding principles of this nation, or what I believe to be the founding principles of this nation, of freedom, liberty and tolerance. You don't ban things because of what bad people might do, you control the bad guys. If this was applied to any other group or like religion, for example, would it be acceptable to punish them for what others might do? No. So why punish us? But this is where shooters need to be really, really switched on, because we've sacrificed a lot and we've never really gained anything from it. We're constantly becoming smaller, and this is, as Churchill said, an appeaser is someone tries to feed a crocodile hoping it eats them last, and this is exactly what's going to happen. You're going to find that if 50 cal and Mars rifles are banned, it's not going to stop. It's organisations like this and then the geniuses behind these restrictions will say, right, well, we got rid of that, what else can we do? 338 Lapua, well, that's a high power sniper rifle round, we'll ban that in case someone manages to steal one of them. 308 common deer stalking or target shooting calibre, they make military ammunition, armour piercing ammunition in this calibre, which isn't legally available to civilians in the UK, but because it's manufactured in this calibre, we'll ban it anyway, and so the restrictions increase, and all of a sudden you find yourself a very small shooting community, much smaller than it is just now, and with no one else to fight for them when their turn comes. So it's worth thinking about, folks. These organisations aren't going to go away, and we need to step up and fight our corner, fight our case, get more people shooting and get involved. So that's it, guys. I hope the video's been informative. I know it's went on a little bit longer than I hoped, but if you like it, please leave a comment, please share it with people, subscribe to us, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and hopefully we'll see you all soon. Cheers.